paper is about a topic on workforce development. It does have an economic development aspect. It focuses on supporting job seeker decisions on their career path. Our paper really describes online tools in the Michigan public workforce system that were created to provide information to help unemployed job seekers make choices to get on the best career path, given their individual job skills and experience. The paper describes the Michigan Career Explorer, which I developed with co-authors here at the Upjohn Institute and experts at the Michigan Center for Data and Analytics. The Career Explorer has two parts. A staff assistance to job seekers. It's a mediated set of tools, and then some self-service tools that job seekers may use, where they specify their prior occupation experience and location in the state to give them information. These workforce tools can support local and regional economic development by improving the match between worker skills and employer staffing needs. They also help the administrators of the public workforce programs because there's limited federal funds for job training. And this system helps evaluate whether job training will be of value to this particular new customer of the system. Our project is based on administrative data, program administrative data the state of Michigan has on recently unemployed customers of the Michigan public workforce system to inform the career choices of new customers. So this data is stored basically to administer the program, but it's a wealth of knowledge about the customers who've recently come through the program. And this project turns around that to make it a useful tool for customers. The tools were developed for customers of the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act programs. That's WIOA. Maybe you've heard about WIOA, the federal job training programs. And we use data on two categories of WIOA customers: disadvantaged adults, low-income adults who qualify based on a set of criteria, and dislocated workers. These are mature workers who've been in jobs for a long time and permanently separated from a job that they worked in for many years. So the disadvantaged adults and dislocated workers are the focus of these two tools. That's what the data that we used. And we had data from 2017 and 2018 pre-pandemic data from WIOA, and we matched that with earnings reports that employers make on workers to the unemployment insurance system, wage record reports, quarterly wage record reports going back to 2015. So we had prior earnings patterns on customers of the WIOA system in 2017 and 2018. The system was based on pre-pandemic data. Now, these programs are not very big. In total, over those 2 years of WIOA customers, we had 1,200 observations over 2 years in the state of Michigan, 1,200 on disadvantaged workers and 2,500 observations on dislocated workers. So these are not enormous programs. The federal funding is limited. There are 16 workforce areas in the state of Michigan. So if you divide the 3,500 observations or 3,700 observations into these 16 areas over two years, that's about 120 WIOA customers per year in each area. That's about 10 per month, obviously 120 per year, and it's between two programs. So it's not a lot of data. The tools that we created The staff-assisted tools, there were 5 tools. The first one is the reemployment probability for a new customer within 6 months in the absence of training. That is, if they don't get any training. The second one is how many months until they get reemployed without any training. Then the third is the probability that they will complete training if they start it. The fourth is the effect of training on the probability of employment within 6 months if they participated in training. And the fifth is the effect of training on reemployment earnings 4 quarters after they leave training, conditional on being reemployed. Those are the 5 staff-assisted tools. So how did we go about estimation? Well, we estimated the models, the probability models, by logistic regression because we're concerned about predicting outcomes for each individual. We wanted logistic to be a little bit more bounded in the reasonableness of the results. And the continuous models were estimated basically by least squares, ordinary least squares regression, which everybody's familiar with. And we had the 5 models for each of the programs, but we refined these with data science methods. So the data science that came in, and really my colleagues in Lansing brought to the table here, we had done a project like this at the Upjohn Institute 25 years ago for the state of Georgia, and we tried to use the parametric models that we might have first described here, but we refined these with data science methods. We used the random forest decision trees. People familiar with data science know what random forest is. We used decision trees to choose which of the variables listed in table 1 in our paper would appear in each of the models. And then we used the famous lasso method. Some of you are experts in data science know that's least absolute shrinkage operators. The idea is that you shrink the parameters on the model, in the model, to improve prediction. So when somebody comes in, a new customer comes in, we have these parameterized models that predict these outcomes. We put their values of their variables in, prior earnings, variations on prior earnings, work experience, educational attainment, and so on, to predict the outcome of each of those 5 things. Now this, the models were developed, also data science people know that you train the models, and we trained it, we used the standard rules. We used 80% of the observations for training, and 20% was reserved for testing and validation. Then once the models were finalized, the system went live during the pandemic. Actually, it went live in June of 2021. And the model parameters were re-estimated recently last month in November of 2024 using post-pandemic data. So it's pretty good. The predictions here are informative, but there's professional judgment required to make the decision about whether or not to use WIOA funding for training and other career choices and information. The self-service career explorer, it's a separate module that you don't have to be sitting with a frontline staff person to use, and it's based on published data. But what it does is it provides customized information to the individual. And it's customized in the sense that when somebody wants to use it, they put in their occupation where they've had experience or job category and their local labor market area. And based on published Bureau of Labor Statistics data, BLS data, we tell the job seeker what the forecast is for occupational growth and reemployment wages in their area. So it's kind of a self-service tool. it turns out that the self-service tool gets used a lot more. And of course, as you can see, the sample sizes for the WIOA programs are pretty small to begin with. Our paper documents the development of an expert system for career planning. Michigan established an operational system based on ideas that we tried in Georgia 25 years ago with Upjohn Institute colleagues working with the Georgia Department of Labor. Usage of Staff Assistant Career Explorer in Michigan started at a very high level and mainly in larger workforce areas across the state. Average daily usage declined for a while, but recovered to a steady state of about 600 page views per day, mostly by the self-service tools. WIOA funding is limited, so participation only averages about 10 per month in each of the 16 workforce areas across the state of Michigan. Usage of the self-service customized labor market information accounts for about 90%. That's the second set of tools. The self-service tools are about 90%. Career Explorer is a useful resource allocation tool for limited WIOA training funds. Staff use this as a justification to their superiors when they're recommending that some of their customers be given federal funding for job training. Now, any state could establish such a career planning system that turns around administrative data to inform choices on the career path. Staff-assisted Career Explorer could be thought of really as a bounded artificial intelligence tool. It's an expert system that provides information for a professional to interpret when counseling a job seeker, an unemployed person trying to make decisions about their career path. Development of generative AI is almost inevitable, all these public data systems. However, it will require large data sets. Remember, we talked about the limited number of participants in these two programs. And of course, there's a built-in trade-off between timeliness and adequate sample size. If you really want timely results, you've only got a few recent participants. You have to expand to include more from earlier periods, but then the results, the recommendation might not be as fresh and relevant to current labor market conditions. It's likely that a multi-state effort could address this. But this is one of the things that will have to be resolved going forward, and particularly before anything like this becomes a self-service tool. The Michigan Center for Data and Analytics, the Upjohn Institute's partner on this project, the agency that really implemented this system for staff throughout the state of Michigan, they're now considering an evaluation of Career Explorer. It would be an observational evaluation, and they plan to do propensity score matching to select a comparison group of customers similar to those who participated in Career Explorer, the 5 tools.